So Godzilla came out this week. Hi everybody, Sebastian here. Just really needed to communicate, wanted to share some stuff, mainly my thoughts about this new movie, Godzilla, the new one, American version. Gareth Edwards pulling another monster movie out of his ass after his success with his first and only feature film, Monsters, which I saw previously to the day before I went to go see Godzilla. Now Gareth Edwards, I dig his style because his whole design seems to be like putting back the human element into monster movies, which is good, and kind of use the monsters as a metaphor for what's happening with the humans. This totally the idea behind Monsters, his first feature. So I saw it just to get a flavor for what this guy's whole style is, and it really didn't do it for me. I like the movie, but yeah, it's kind of slow. It's kind of meandering a little bit. There's not enough monsters to warrant the title Monsters. But yeah, I appreciate it for what it was. It was done on the cheap, very effectively. It was a great project. Now, when they gave this guy Godzilla, which to me is an astoundingly brave move, because Monsters really isn't about fucking monsters fighting, but Godzilla, as we all know, very much is. So they gave this guy a chance at the bat, and he swung and kind of missed. Oh my god. Thing is that most of the same problems that I had with Monsters are the same ones that I had with Godzilla. Like, it's shit that carried over. Because again, this movie, Godzilla, has very little to do with Godzilla. Very little. The movie is basically, again, very much like Monsters, is just about the lives of people, and they just happen to be marked by these gigantic, horrendous things. The movie concerns the trials and tribulations of the Brody family. Nice one, Gareth. The Brody family is basically Bryan Cranston and Juliette Binoche, who neither of which have enough screen time for this movie. Bryan Cranston gets away with a couple of scenes, but Juliette Binoche is just gone. She's either a really, really, really big Godzilla fan or just agreed to the most ridiculous movie contract ever, because she's just I think 5 minutes tops you see her. So they're a family. They have a young son. They live in Japan because Bryan Cranston, Joe, he works at a nuclear power plant. Now, at the beginning of the movie, strange things are going on. There's seismic activity, unexplained seismic activity. So Joe has to ditch out on his own birthday and go to the plant to see what's going on. Now, to this movie's credit, this opening sequence is really, really, really terrifying. I felt legit suspense and dread, because they really sell you on the fact that nobody knows what's going on, and these earthquakes are happening. This power plant is close to cracking, and there's no explanation behind it. We know it's Monsters, but you don't really know that yet in the movie. So yeah, that's basically what it is. This creature emerges from beneath the ground, causes this power plant to completely melt down. Juliette Binoche is gone. She dies. They have that scene that you see in the trailers of the door closing. Bryan Cranston crying. Bryan Cranston is a pro crier. Um, and the little boy, his son, just watches this whole plant being destroyed from his school. Flash forward. Little boy has grown up into Aaron Taylor Johnson. And he's a soldier who's just returning home from Iraq or wherever. He meets up with his wife, which is Mary Elizabeth Olsen, who also does not get enough screen time, and their kid, because this is the next generation of the Brody family. So that's really what it's about. This family is who we're following. And again, this guy, such as his father, now this guy has to deal with the presence of these monsters. Because what happened at the power plant 20 years ago is starting to happen again. Bryan Cranston's still in the picture. He's turned into literally like this crazy Mulder type who's just obsessed as to what happened to the power plant and wants to find out. He knows it wasn't an earthquake, but nobody's telling him anything. And that whole section of Japan is now a quarantine zone. Nobody can go in. Bryan Cranston gets arrested for trying to break in, and Aaron Taylor Johnson needs to get him out. So, like, it's his dad. The dad kind of brings him into, like, his craziness. They go back into the quarantine zone and find that there's no radiation poisoning. But what there is a giant monster cocoon that fucking Ken Watanabe's looking after. This thing attached itself to the core of this nuclear plant and has just been, like, sucking it dry for 20 years until this massive, fucking freaky-looking cocoon thing just formed. Ken Watanabe starts seeing that, Bryan Cranston, he knows what's up. This American knows what's up. He was here on that day. But it's too late. It's too late to get any feedback, any possible confirmation, because this thing is about to hatch. And when it does, that is when Muto arrives. Muto is this movie's antagonist. It's kind of like a cross between a cockroach and a Gigan. Godzilla fans, you better fucking know who Gigan is. So that's the monster. That's the baddie. And these creatures absorb nuclear radiation because that's what they feed off of. And the excess radiation that they absorb, the excess of it, they can project it as a weapon. In this case, they can create these huge EMP blasts that just reduce all electrical devices to scrap. Which means there can't be an effective military response to this. This thing comes out. This thing starts just like wrecking shit up, and then spreads its wings because it has wings and just flies away, leaving everybody there kind of like, what the fuck? So now there's a giant flying monster on the loose. Aaron Taylor Johnson couldn't give the first fuck. Aaron Taylor Johnson just wants to get home to San Francisco, be with his wife, be with his kid. Yeah, he has a kid, but never mind this kid. This kid is totally irrelevant to the movie. And yeah, that's basically what happens. Aaron Taylor Johnson is basically just trying to get home, and these gosh darn monsters just won't let him do it. Now, notice how I haven't even mentioned Godzilla yet, because Godzilla, like I said, is a very, very small part of this movie. This movie is a third act build, which that kind of seems to be Gareth Edwards' modus operandi, as well as Godzilla in general. 70% of Godzilla movies are just a build-up to, like, the final fight. And therein lies the problem, though, for me. That final fight, you want to see it. That's the reason you went to see this movie. But in this movie, there's literally a final fight. Because every other fight scene that happens, the camera just cuts away whenever Godzilla's about to start some shit. Godzilla, by the way, in this version, Ken Watanabe is the unofficial Godzilla expert. He's been tracking this monster since he was aware of its existence, which us humans became aware back in the 40s when this thing started making its appearance. That's what those nuclear tests were about. We were trying to kill this thing. This organization called Monarch was built, which is basically Godzilla hunting or giant monster hunting in general, because Ken Watanabe's got this figured out. Ken Watanabe, according to him, says back when planet Earth, in the way, 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 way back, before there was any life, when the planet was mostly just a radioactive ball, turns out there were living things back then. Giant, monstrous things that adapted to that all radiation environment and evolved that way. That's what Godzilla is. That's what these mutos are. And every other monster that we're gonna see, because there's gonna be a fucking sequel to this. There's so gonna be a sequel. Every single monster we can presume comes from this time period, which I don't think they mentioned what the time period was in the movie. Whatever. That's where all the monsters are gonna come from in future movies, unless Gareth Edwards wants to really bring that crazy alien shit, monsters from outer space. But whatever, that remains to be seen. I don't think so though. Yeah, Godzilla is this ancient thing. Ken Watanabe sure that he's still around because out of some weird evolutionary design or development, Godzilla's whole thing is killing whatever other creatures like him exist. So Godzilla is on these fucking Mewtwo's ass. Godzilla starts popping up, I'd say like at the 45-minute mark of this movie. But when he pops up, I mean, you can't fucking help it. It's fucking Godzilla. He's fucking huge. It's amazing. And then, like, he squares up against this fucking giant, flying, creepy-looking monster. And they're about to throw down, and then we cut away. That's, I saw this in a packed theater. And when that first cut happens, you could feel the audience being in the general sense of, okay, what the fuck? This is how I know that there was something wrong with this movie, because on top of my experience watching it, I'm also absorbing everything that's going on around me. I saw this movie with a couple of friends, and it just keeps happening. It just keeps happening. This movie just focuses on the fucking Brodies and their fucking quest for family love and whatever. And every time there's a monster fight, it just cuts away and you see the fight in like the background on some television, or we cut back right at the aftermath of the fight. And it keeps happening. And around the third time it happens, that's when very audible groans started to be heard in the movie theater. And man, it was such a kick in the nuts for me, man. Such a kick in the nuts, because the summer season has started, right? This is when Hollywood is just unloading its cavalcade of big budget, low concept, fucking holy shit, we are gonna make some money movies. And so far, man, Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man was the first one we got. That movie left me with an overall sense of so when I went to see this movie, I was really I was not prepared for it to disappoint me, because I couldn't take that after what happened with Spider-Man. But indeed, there I am, just sitting, and every time there's a fight, we cut away. It's the most action that we get in the middle parts are just your standard disaster movie, American disaster movie stuff. Only there's like a giant fucking cockroach causing all of it. Not enough Godzilla. It becomes clear that these monsters consume radiation. So naturally, what's an effective way to kill it? Nuclear bomb, says the American general. Because, there's an American general. Ken Watanabe in this movie will be playing the scientist that says, no! And the American general's like, yes, you don't know, I know, because military. And so we get into that, the whole, they got a shitty plan, it's probably not gonna work, they're gonna try to blow this, they're gonna kill the thing that eats radiation with a radioactive blast. Aaron Taylor Johnson seems to, since these monsters keep getting up in his face, he decides to make it his little pet project of his and decides to deal with the situation because, oh, that's the other thing. All these monsters are converging on San Francisco, which is where his family lives. So now he's got this sense of like, I'm going to kill these fucking things before they get to where my family lives. So Aaron Taylor Johnson kind of drops the getting back home thing and just like signs up with the first military platoon that he runs across. Because there's an active military response now happening all over the world. And Godzilla's part of it, by the way. Godzilla shows up in this movie, and in a completely unexpected move, I was not expecting it at all, we get hero Godzilla in this movie. Godzilla is not the enemy, even though that's kind of like what the whole marketing campaign was trying to get across. But no, man, Godzilla is a hero in this fucking movie, and doesn't seem to mind having all this military around him because he doesn't even actively like bring planes down or anything like that. This guy's just gotta kill the fucking mutos. That's what I'm doing. By the way, muto means massive unidentified terrestrial organism, which is a nice acronym. So that's what Godzilla's all about. Godzilla's all about killing any single other monster that crosses its path. And there's an amazing shot of just like you see the spikes of Godzilla swimming through the water and just like military Navy ships just around it. Like they're all rolling up on these monsters together. That was kind of cool. But yeah, all these little cool parts that I'm bringing up are separated by long spaces of just like not very well written human interactions. And that's really the main problem that I have with this movie, because it's like halfway through it, you find yourself asking, what's this movie called again? It's Godzilla, right? It's not called The Brodies. It should be called The Brodies or The Mutos, featuring Godzilla, because Godzilla is like such a minor character. It's mostly a human drama about survival and about family and about overcoming our past darknesses and shit. That wasn't even a word. So yeah, this thing really just kicks off at the third act. The third act is what you paid the $7.50 to see. Because by the way, yeah, I'm in Puerto Rico. Movie theaters here are $7.50. I can't even imagine what it costs to. If I had paid American ticket price to see this movie, I'd probably be way harsher on it. But now $7.50, so I'm only like a little bit hurt, not mortified. This third act fucking starts, and it's everything you want to fucking see, man. It starts off with the Halo jump scene, because by this point, the monsters have arrived at San Francisco, and they are just like laying that shit to waste. The only way to get into the city is via Halo jump, which is a high altitude jump like from the stratosphere. And this sequence, man, alone is fucking amazeballs. Just like, and you've seen it in the trailers, but these guys just falling from the sky, leaving those red chemtrails as they're falling. And this batshit insane score that sounds like, I don't know if it sounds more like 2001: A Space Odyssey or a boss battle in Final Fantasy, but it's just very ominous, and it gets the job done. I don't mind that they didn't use the Godzilla theme just because for that piece of music that they used in that one scene, because that scene that is legit scary. This movie has parts that are legit scary and legit suspenseful. And Aaron Taylor Johnson is just falling, and when we switch to his point of view, and he just sees these two Godzilla and just going at it with these Mewtwo's, and he's like, oh shit, like literally. That was intense. So they get to the ground, and yeah, now they got to go with Operation Bad Military Idea, which is basically we got to distract the Mewtwo's getting this nuclear bomb as far away from the city, because they can sense when there's radiation around, so they'll follow it. So Aaron Taylor Johnson has to fucking make sure that happens. But oh shit, before that can happen, the male Mewtwo Because there's two Mewtwo's in this movie: the male one that can fly, and a huge ass fucking female with the big ass X-Sack. The Mewtwo steals the fucking nuclear bomb and just presents it to his beloved, and then they start going for that freaky monster sex. Which I think Gareth Edwards has a thing with monster sex, because there's also a scene in Monsters, which is, in my opinion, the best scene in Monsters, when the two monsters start like cuddling and kissing each other. That same scene almost happens shot by shot in this one. So fuck. Now the monsters have the bomb. The bomb is active. So San Francisco's gonna get destroyed. Aaron Taylor Johnson's, who's a fucking EOD ordnance disposal guy, he has to deactivate the bomb. So that's the mission. He has to get to the Mewtwo's. And but how's he gonna do it? How's he gonna do it? Don't worry, Aaron, because Godzilla's got your back. This is when Godzilla becomes Godzilla. Godzilla starts wailing on these fucking things. Aaron Taylor Johnson manages to deactivate the bomb, but by the time he gets to it, he realizes that the Mewtwo's have laid eggs all around the bomb, and they're feeding off of it. There's like basically a radioactive baby bottle for all these little Mewtwo eggs that are like on the walls. Aaron Taylor Johnson has the presence of mind to just burn all that shit to the ground. Right around the time Godzilla takes care of the male Mewtwo. But then, oh snap, we get a nice little aliens moment when the female Mewtwo sees what this human bastard has done to her fucking children. So now he becomes priority number one for her. And just when it looks like this monster is gonna fuck Aaron Taylor Johnson's shit up, oh man, you just see the tail of Godzilla, and you see the spikes illuminating blue, and you just follow that shit all over its spine up till it gets to its head, and that's when Godzilla opens its mouth and just boo unleashes the fucking fire breath, which I was sure they weren't gonna do. Man, I'm getting, you can't see, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. Holy fucking shit, I'm so glad I got to see that. That is worth the price of admission. That one shot of Godzilla fucking throwing the fire breath, that shit is amazing. And Godzilla does that, Aaron Taylor Johnson gets away, Aaron Taylor Johnson almost gets on a boat. They're still trying to distract the creature with the nuclear device. So Aaron Taylor Johnson's just by himself trying to get this device as far away from the city as possible. But the Mewtwo's still alive. Godzilla looks like he's out, because apparently doing the fire breath takes a lot out of him. So Godzilla's kind of like, bleh. Mewtwo's about to kill this guy, but Godzilla sneaks up on his ass again and just fucking beheads the fucking thing and blows away the rest with the fire breath. Final shot of Godzilla in action is Godzilla just like brandishing the fucking severed head of the monster. And it's great. It's fucking great. Aaron Taylor Johnson gets rescued because of reasons. Meets up with the wife. Everything's gonna be okay. Godzilla looked like he was dead, but he wakes up in the final moments. Nobody tries to shoot at him. There's no planes being deployed. Because even though Godzilla did his fair share of destruction for whatever reason, I think in the first time in the history of American monster movies, all of the humans in the film kind of just agree that, you know what, Godzilla's alright. He's pretty alright. So Godzilla gets up, and in a classic Godzilla ending, this is the ending, like you've seen this 1,000 times, you've seen Godzilla movies, just Godzilla walking towards the sunset, into the water, and just like diving under. End of movie. Now, problem number one, fucking humans. Oh man, this movie is like, I don't care about this family, to be quite honest. I don't care about what they're going through. I don't care about these scientists trying to figure this out. I don't give a shit what any of these human characters are trying to do. And that's kind of like the problem for me, because that is 80% of the movie right there. 80% is just these guys trying to deal with the situation, which is, it's important. That's a big part of these types of movies. But man, no, no, no. Especially in a summer movie. It's no, man. This movie had so much fucking potential to it. But man, it just really does itself a disservice by just trying. Maybe the human element isn't the problem. Maybe the problem is that they didn't do enough of a good job to get you invested with these characters. Cause there's really no drama in this movie. It's all melodrama. There's no. I didn't feel connected to any of these characters except in that opening scene because just like them, you have no idea what's going on. So you're with them in the fear angle. But yeah, man, it's just no. I went to see a fucking monster movie, and I got 20% of a monster movie. So I can't wholeheartedly give this movie all my fucking props. It's better than the '98 version though. But that's not hard to do. And also just a lot of like little things like, for example, when Ken Watanabe introduces the concept of Godzilla. Obviously, Ken Watanabe is Japanese. He says we call him Gojira. Gojira, 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 Gojira. His name is Gojira. But as the movie goes along, all of a sudden people start calling him Godzilla with really no reason. They're just like they either they're it kind of makes them look like a bunch of ugly Americans that they're not even gonna try to pronounce the right name. What's it called? Gojira? Okay. Well, this Godzilla thing, we gotta do something about it. So little details like that. Also, Aaron Taylor Johnson was fine, I guess, but again, he doesn't bring that much to the table. I don't really give a crap about him. Bryan Cranston was like, this is not Heisenberg. People thinking that because that was on the internet for a while before the movie came out, which is like Heisenberg versus Godzilla. It is none of that whatsoever. It would have been cool if Cranston has stayed for the entire proceedings, but Cranston isn't in the movie for too long. But okay, on the pros side of this movie, oh my god, these fucking monsters are amazing. These fucking monsters are amazing looking. Gareth Edwards really knows how to create creatures that feel alive, creatures that you can kind of see their place in our ecosystem. Like they act, they move, and they communicate in a very real way, like a real animal would. Granted, a huge fucking animal, but yeah, Godzilla also. It's everything. The monster parts were insanely well done. Insanely well done. The sound on this fucking thing, what these creatures sound like is amazing. You need to see this movie in a theater with good audio because oh my god, the soundtrack alone, the effects alone, the soundtrack is actually kind of shit, except for that Halo jump score. But the sound that these monsters make, the sound of just like the cocoon when it's about to hatch and it's doing these like pulsating noises. It's scary. The audio in this movie is a really big reason for the way that you feel towards these creatures, which is I'm pretty sure was the intent. These things are these godlike, otherworldly creatures that you have no understanding of, and you feel like that. You feel like I couldn't even begin to deal with this situation if it was happening in the real world. And it's scary. This movie is legit scary in certain parts. What else can I say about this fucking movie? It's good. The effects were great. The sound was great. The sound and the effects. Godzilla is really good with the sound and the effects. But it really didn't do enough for me that to the point where I would be like, oh, this movie, you have to fucking see this movie. If you're a Godzilla fan, you have to. Which that shouldn't. You don't need me to tell you that. If you're a Godzilla fan, you already know what the fuck you gotta do. But here's the thing. In a world where we've seen Pacific Rim, you can't really. It's hard to pull this type of thing off. It's hard to pull this third act build structure in terms of giant monster movies, especially since something like Pacific Rim came out like a couple of years ago. Pacific Rim is a way better movie than this. Pacific Rim made me feel like I was 12 years old again. Back when I watched like giant robot anime and like Godzilla movies. This Godzilla movie, which is a thing that I used to watch, didn't do that at all. At all. So that's where I'm leading my point of view from. Pacific Rim touched my fucking soul. This movie just kind of like petted it slightly. So it was a letdown and a bit of a bummer. And after Spider-Man 2, I gotta say that this summer is kind of like not doing it for me. We still got 2 months to go. Still plenty of movies. So I really don't know how this is gonna work out. Just on a scale of 1 to 10, scales. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm gonna have to put Godzilla like at a solid 6-ish, 7-ish. 0.2. Something like that. Not a 10 by any stretch of the imagination. And yeah, if after having said all that, you still think that you would get a kick out of it, by all means, give it a shot. And also, you might fucking like it better than I do. I'm a fucking cynical asshole anyways. But yeah, that's my Godzilla review. I think I'm gonna make a habit of this because I think this is cooler and funner than just like writing a status on Facebook. So I think I'm gonna make this into a habit. So we'll see what happens with the rest of the movies. We're getting Days of Future Past next, if I remember correctly, and then after that, Guardians of the Galaxy. So whatever one of these I do next is gonna be a fucking Marvel movie. So we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. And until then, I'm Sebastian. And if you like this review, thanks. If you didn't, also thanks because you watched it. So I'll catch you guys later. Boo.